We are live. I just did a live stream that sucked because I tried to do this live streaming feature that the DJI Go app has, which is supposed to be able to live stream your flights. That did not work. Here is the DJI Mavic Pro. This is an amazing quadcopter by DJI, also known as a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. Now, a lot of people refer to this as a drone, thanks to the media. You know, the media has their own agenda, and you know, people just repeat what they hear, right? Media keeps talking about drones, all these drones, drones. What are we gonna do? Drones, privacy concerns, drones, drones. And then, you know, people, you know, you're on TV on a big cable network in a suit and tie, saying drone, looking like an authority. So people start repeating it. So now it's got to the point where people who actually own these things, even professionals, don't even realize this is nothing more than a remote control helicopter. The fact that it has autonomous capabilities, that's sort of like a cell phone, smartphone versus just a regular cell phone, right? They're cell phones. You know, smartphone is not something different. It's a cell phone. It's a really advanced cell phone, but it's a cell phone. This is a remote control helicopter, a really advanced one, but it's just a remote control helicopter. Helicopters are vehicles that can take off vertically and they can hover. Now, you have to have those two components because you have VTOL aircraft. And this is, I'm former United States Air Force, so I know a little thing about aircraft. But anyway, VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. Now, you can have a fixed wing aircraft that can do that. For example, the Harrier jump jet. But there is a big distinction. The Harrier jump jet does sort of overlap a lot with the definition of a helicopter, but the main thing that it's missing is the propeller, right? Helicopters achieve their lift via propellers, not via jet engines. With the Harrier jump jet, you have a jet engine that it is capable of being angled, so you can turn the angle downwards to give that downwards thrust so that the jet can actually lift off vertically like that. And then, I guess, if I remember correctly, it'll start angling forward, more forward, and start picking up more and more speed until it's completely vertical, and then it's just a traditional jet. But helicopter, vertical takeoff and landing, ability to hover, the amount of propellers is irrelevant. Just like you have different types of cars, right? You have a sedan, a sports car, right? You have different types of helicopters. This is a quadcopter, quad for 4. It has 4 rotors. You have helicopters with 5 rotors. Typically, what people see are helicopters with single rotors. And in fact, some of those helicopters that people associate as a single rotor, it's actually multiple rotors. If you look at them, they'll actually have the 2 rotors in line with each other, as opposed to these are separate. Now, the only reason why you don't see traditional helicopters that carry people like this, you could do this, they're very inefficient. Quadcopter design is very, very inefficient for, you know, something that you're going to use to transport human beings. So that's why we use more efficient designs like you see in traditional helicopters. But this is a helicopter. Anyway, this is the DJI Mavic Pro. I'm going to try to do something really crazy, which is fly indoors. I did it already. I flew for like 15, 20 minutes. But thanks to DJI and their stupid app, none of that stuff worked. The whole live stream consisted of, for those of you guys that saw it, literally, that's it. That's my whole live stream. Anyway, so I'm sitting around here flying around, all these nice shots. Meanwhile, that's all that got captured. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and fly this. If you don't mind me, I love my ginger snap, so I'm gonna just eat my ginger snap. But we're gonna go ahead and put the card. I got the memory card right here. And we're gonna go ahead and get flying. So one of the great things about the Mavic is right here. This is the showstopper. Look at this. How small it is. Look at it in reference to the palm of my hand. Very small. I've been able to fit this into a cargo pocket with one of my cargo pants. That's pretty insane. I can fit this in a cargo pocket of my cargo pants. All right, look at this. What is up? Transformers, more than meets the eye. Right? Transformers, robots in disguise. All right, so there it is. Memory card goes right here. So I can open that up. And we're gonna put this in here. Little SD card, 32 gigabyte. We can scan this. You gotta face the label towards you. The label should be facing downward. I just put it in the wrong way, that's what I'm telling you. All right, so it's in there. This is how you turn it on, right here. Push that button, press and hold. Actually, I'm sorry, you double tap. That's to give you the battery voltage. It's fully charged. Tap, 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 and tap and hold. Now it's on. You see the motors charging up. Gimbal is active and stabilizing right now. You fly it with the remote control right here. All right, remote control helicopter has a remote control. You use the app on your phone, Android or your iPhone, so you can see. So I can actually see what the camera sees. So you can see right there. He's looking at my ugly head. Put it in front of me. My ugly mug. So you now see what the Mavic sees. All right, so now we're gonna do some crazy stuff. So I am going to fly it from inside to out of here. So we're gonna start the flight from inside the kitchen. And this is gonna be fun. Yeah, good view from here. Better views here. Something like that. Maybe here. I might move it, but whatever. There it goes. This might not go well. You can see a little bit in the corner right there. All right, so let's watch. Let's see how you watch it. There's the controls. So all I'm gonna do is a zoom zoom and a boom boom. No, so I'm just gonna put both controllers, the joysticks in. And now it's on. All right, it says forward obstacle sensing not working because it's kind of low light. So it might be a little bit inside. Anyway, let's take off. Talk about that. Another video another time. All right, let's go. Recording video. 24 frames per second. All right. Why do you see how stable it is? So that's how stable it is. Right now, it's stabilizing itself by itself. Detail on the ground and using that to keep its position because it doesn't have GPS inside. the tricky part. All right. Now let's get some flying around. There we go. you have it. DJI Mavic Pro indoor flight actually went pretty well. So a little tip, I'm gonna go ahead and switch this battery out because it's everything charged. Always be charging. So I'm going to swap this out. Let's stop the camera and turn it off. It's off now. Pop the battery out like this. Nice and easy. So here's the battery. Needs to be charged. Only 1.5. Charger. All right, it's on the charger now, and it's a little hot underneath. So you simply see little contacts, right? It's right there, right? Put it in there like that. It sits in nicely, and then you're just going to do a little snap right in, recharge battery. Right? So it's a little hot underneath. You can see there's like heat sinks underneath. It's not. A second ago it was a little hot, uncomfortable to touch. I don't know if it was dangerously hot, but definitely would feel uncomfortable. Now it's just warm. All right. So that's it. Now ready to fly again. So that's it. DJI Mavic Pro indoor flight. The craziest thing was going through the doorway. Let me explain a little bit of what was happening there. So what happens when you're trying to fly through the doorway? Actually, let me put the phone. I left my phone on all night last night. So I need to keep it on the charger. I'm just going to put this on the charger. So that's the DJI Mavic Pro. Mavic Pro. Yeah. All right. This is going to need to charge as well pretty soon. So yeah, so the most difficult thing, the craziest thing today was flying through the doorway, and I'll tell you why. Not because it's difficult in terms of my flying abilities, although that would be somewhat true. It's sort of a 50-50 endeavor, meaning it's 50% my inadequacies, and the other 50% a sort of quirkiness of the product. So basically, if you sum it all up, it's my inability to adequately deal with a sort of quirkiness that the product has. And what that quirkiness is it's too smart for its own good. So the Mavic has obstacle avoidance sensors. It's really nice. Previously, you know, these quadcopters would fly right into whatever they were blind. That was kind of crazy, especially when you're doing automated flight. So you're doing a recorded flight and the quadcopter can't see anything. All it's doing is you say go left right into a wall, it's going to go right into the wall. It does not see the wall. All it sees is your instruction. So it's like I'm giving someone directions and they're blindfolded. I'm saying walk this way. Okay, turn left and run full speed. And that could be sending you off a cliff, right? So that's how it was. Now it's got obstacle avoidance, which is not magic. Some people think, oh, I could just fly and never crash. But as you can see, I crashed yesterday against the wall. But that was late at night when it's dark. It couldn't really see. So technically that was kind of like flying without obstacle avoidance, because if it can't see, it's not functioning. So It's like it's not even a factor. Today, I hit the doorway. Interesting enough that this thing's still flying and good to go. I can barely even see any damage. I don't know how that works, spinning that fast and hitting objects that don't move. I don't know how that works, but somehow it still works. But what happened there was a complex problem for the Mavic to solve. The problem being that, first of all, if you guys saw me trying to fly through the doorway, you may have been wondering, like, why is he, just go, man, just go through the door. You see me coming up real smooth, lining up real nice, and you're like, yeah, and then I stop. Like, what is he doing? Just go. I couldn't go because the obstacle avoidance sees the doorway on the right and the doorway on the left. So it's kind of like, whoa, I'm not trying to crash. This looks kind of scary. So it's kind of, it stops right there. And it's weird. I think I found a technique for going through doorways that might just work. But that was what was happening. So I would get stuck at the door, and then somehow by me changing the altitude and, you know, turning around, I guess it reassesses things, and then there'll be that little window where it says, oh, it's good to go, and it starts going through the door. Then as it's going through the door, it senses one of the sides of the door. So it's like, oh, shoot, there's something to my right. And then it starts moving to the left by itself. So it actually kind of crashed itself in a way because it was trying to avoid the door and then flies into the other side. But like I said, it's two to tango. Better knowledge of the product maybe would let me be better able to anticipate that it's going to do that, or it might do that and have an action plan. For example, just through experience, I always have an action plan when I'm flying close to people. Generally, that's to be avoided, but if I do that, I always have an action plan. You always need to be ready because things will happen very quickly. You don't have time to plan something. You need to know what you're planning on doing ahead of time. So my plan when flying next to people is obviously back up, right? So my mind, I'm already sort of preemptively decided to back up rapidly, right? So there's no thought process of which way is back and which way is forward. Like, I want to make sure I go in the right direction, right? I want to go fly into the person's face, right? So I make that assessment preemptively. So before I need to do it, I already assess, okay, I'm pointing this way. If I need to get away from him, I need to go that way, right? So my mind has already triggered that thought and decision to be made. So the second something happens where it starts doing something funky near the person and there's a danger, I'm just going to yank on that stick. Boom, pull it right away, right? Now, obviously, this is not something, well, clearly you don't want somebody who's a little bit of a scatterbrain to be doing this, because someone who is not that sharp, a little bit of a scatterbrain, might make a mistake. And even though they plan to push back, they go forward, they panic or whatever. Not going to happen with me, but you want to be very careful who you have flying quadcopters near your face. But anyway, so that was a problem. So I tried to avoid the door and then hit the other side. I didn't compensate quickly enough. So I tapped the door and then it flew right through, I think. No, I think I backed it back in the house and it was fine. Then it did some weird thing where I guess it sensed that something bad happened. So it was like, it said something about braking, trying to brake. I'm going to center the throttle first. And then it wouldn't go right anymore. So the side that it hit, it wouldn't go in that direction. I rotated it, moved it around. It just would not go left. I think, actually, I'm sorry. When I moved it left and right, no, I don't know what I did. Somehow I rotated or changed altitude and it got it to reset itself to where it was flying in all directions. But that was I'm spending all this time talking about going to the doorway, but that was the most complicated thing. Once I got into the pool house, it was pretty cool because I've got bright sunlight, so it's got these, I think it's called vision sensors. It's actually, it doesn't get good GPS in here, so GPS is what it uses to keep in the same position and not drift, right? So if wind pushes it, it can see that and compensate for it. But in a daytime like this, without GPS, it actually can see, I guess, sense patterns probably, contrast or whatever. So it'll be able to visually see its position, and sort of like, let's say there's a triangle tile, like there's a triangle tile on the ground right there. Well, there's a whole bunch of them, but whatever. Let's say there's a triangle on the ground. It'll see that pattern and say, okay, let me keep this pattern centered in my display. And then it's going to, if it starts drifting, it'll pull it back. So you get a similar effect to flying with GPS. And to be honest, it actually is I would say it felt almost like flying with GPS. So it is pretty effective. It's pretty stable. I mean, as long as it gets enough light, it pretty much rocks steady, stays where you put it. So once I saw that, man, I was getting into it. I started going back and forth, and then I started doing laps around the pool, and I started getting faster and faster and faster till I was doing maximum throttle, which I wouldn't do before, because once you start going fast, things can get out of control real fast. You start going in the wrong direction, and then you try to compensate, but you're still going too fast, and then you're just like, boom. Just like a car or motorcycle, same kind of thing. But I got to the point where I was comfortable with techniques like, you know, if I'm coming to the end of the pool and I'm too out of control or something like that, I will rotate faster, because the second that the nose is pointed back in the other direction is the second that it's going to start going in that direction. So the quicker I get to that position, the quicker I avoid running into the other end of the pool or the walls or whatever. So anytime I kind of freak out or whatever, I just rotate faster so I can change the direction of the thrust. And that's basically the main technique that I was using. You know, you start going off to the wall or something, just turn sharp and let the thrust sort of aim you back where you need to go. And I started going really fast and doing loops, and I was going really low and moving the camera up and down. And overall, awesome flight experience. You know, I've not been a big fan of DJI in the past. Everyone knows that. I look at them as kind of a GoPro of quadcopters. But I will say that I'm very happy with the product. DJI Mavic is nice. Very well done. Very well done product. Flying inside with no GPS, awesome. Flying outdoors with GPS, awesome. Just overall awesome product. Landed in my hand. It doesn't tip over when it's taking off or landing like the old, what did I have? The old 3D robotics Iris Plus. So thumbs up if you're looking for a super cool, super portable, you know, get the job done quadcopter. I highly recommend the DJI Mavic Pro. One major failure today was the DJI Go live stream app, which failed. I was going to live stream so you guys can see the perspective from the helicopter flying around. So you guys get the aerial view live, and the whole video is just that was like super annoying, but what are you going to do? Let's get right into the news. Anyway, on that note, yeah, it's a great flight time. I can get 28 minutes flight time. It's fast. I can go up to 38 miles per hour. I've been 40 miles per hour, maybe downwind. So it's fast, super portable, great battery life, very easy to fly. So easy that you can crash it because you get so used to it flying itself, basically, that if the GPS fails or something like that fails, and you're just left to fly it by yourself, you might have a rude awakening. Many noobs will have a rude awakening because trying to fly that thing without all the technology, not saying it's difficult. You know, for those who actually know how to fly, it's not difficult, but it's just in contrast. I mean, if you have something that's so automated, it's kind of like, you know, hey, Mavic, go over there, and it just goes over there. Hey, Mavic, give me the perfect shot around. It doesn't work like that. But I'm just saying, that's kind of almost the idea. It kind of just does what you tell it to do. You know, no stress, no hassle. If you're used to that, then all of a sudden it's kind of like, hey, actually fly this thing. It's almost, in a way, it could almost be like flying it for the first time. Technically, it is, because it's a lot of it's, when you're flying this, a lot of the flight is it. In a way, you're just telling it where to go. You're just telling it where you want it to go, right? But it's actually getting there, not you. Because to get from this end of the pool to that end of the pool is not simply an instruction of go forward, aim that way and go forward. It's more than that. To actually fly from here to there requires several inputs. Due to temperature changes or a little draft or whatever, there is an input, 10 feet down of slight left stick. And then a little bit more down, slight right stick, slight left stick. Maybe it's an updraft or something, slight down stick, right? Slight up stick. All that stuff, and you're not doing any of that. All you do is you aim it that way and you aim forward. You say go forward. So it actually does the flying. You're just directing it. You're saying go that way, and it actually does the actual navigation. So in essence, it's almost like you're not really flying it. I don't want to make it sound too easy because you still have to sort of, because you can still give it bad instructions to where even the obstacle avoidance can't save you, to where you end up crashing into a wall or something like that. So I guess the same thing applies. I mean, even if I'm not driving a race car, if I'm the one telling the race car driver what to do, I can cause him to crash if he actually follows my instructions explicitly. I mean, if I tell him to go 180 miles per hour down a straight, and I don't say brake until the very, very last minute where there's not enough distance to brake, he's going to crash. So even though I'm not driving, the race car is driving, I can still give the race car driver bad instructions to where he crashes. He has incredible skill, but I put him in a situation where physics don't allow him to compensate for my, idiocy. Anyway, so that's a DJI Mavic Pro, and stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to be doing a Bluetooth speaker test demo in here for you guys, and much, much more. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay